I'm waiting around you. You're playing around up there. I didn't want to distract you.
Thank you. You're all good.
We're good?
Yep.
All right. Good morning again. It is Wednesday and we're at 10:30 after our work session and starting our regular meeting. So as it's a fully separate meeting, we will start as we did the last meeting. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now we will go around the table for introductions, make sure we have quorum.
Anita Czar, MCAT.
Katie Sheffer, MCAT.
Stormy Bird, MCAT.
Yoel Viennes, MCAT.
Asia Lachima, MCAT.
Sarah Goolsby, Benish. Victoria Upthegrove, FDOT.
Brenda Gordon, Agency for Healthcare Administration.
David Machado, MPO.
Brad Kashak from ATD. Kevin Guilds, Florida Department of Elder Affairs, Senior Connection Center.
Kristen Gallagher, Florida Department of Children and Families.
Tricia O'Brien, Meals on Wheels Plus of Manatee.
Ellie McForest, Sarasota Manatee MPO.
Grace Sagowski, Sarasota Manatee MPO.
All right, do we have quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right, perfect. We will move on to public comments. Oh, is there anyone online?
There's one.
Shady Francois Vocational Rehabilitation.
Okay. There is no public, so we will move past public comments, but let the record show I offered. We have an adoption of the minutes from the February 11th, 2026 meeting. I'll entertain motions to adopt these minutes.
Brenda Gordon, motion to adopt.
Brad Kashak, second.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt and a second. Is there any conversation on this? Seeing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All opposed? That is approved unanimously. Moving on to our action items, approval of the 2026-27 rate model. Bernie, it's you.
Actually, it's me.
Oh.
Or is there anything showing for the rate model?
I don't think there's.
Okay, actually, let's, I'll explain the process. I'm Benita Czar, Operations Chief for Manatee County Area Transit. Basically, what happens with the rate model is, we submit it annually to the state, and there's a lot of negotiating between rates as far as ambulatory wheelchair mobility types. It's something that's statewide between the 67 counties that are community transportation coordinators. Those rates are kind of submitted into the system. It's a comprehensive budget worksheet that we submit into the system. It's all calculated by formula. So what we do is we look at our annual operating report from the previous year, and we kind of basically guesstimate or project for the upcoming year, kind of what our percentage of increase would be. So this year, we actually project a 10% increase from last year's to this year's. And the ambulatory rate that was approved after going back and forth, it was for ambulatory $45.45. I'm sorry, $45.41 for ambulatory, wheelchair $77.85. So this is actually presented before the trip and equipment grant. It goes to the state, and once that's officially approved, there's an allocated total between all of the counties. That's basically it's through the trust fund that David had mentioned earlier in the workshop. So that basically is administered by the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage. With that, it's specifically used for operational costs or planning costs. It's also utilized for citizens who have no other means of transportation and they have a disadvantage, transportation disadvantage, and we basically use them under that umbrella to provide services for them. So it gives them the opportunity to, you know, use the service for other type of transportation needs that they weren't able to do before. What happens with the trip and equipment grant? And I'm talking between the rate and the trip because it kind of combined, it works together. There's a 90% of that is funded through the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage. 10% of that is local match. So the amount that, I don't know if you had the opportunity to pull up your email, but we actually sent a packet that had the allocated draft rates on there. So for the allocation for Manatee County was $505,905. That was of the 90%, and 50 cents of the local match was 56,211, totaling 562,116. So what we are asking from the board is the calculated TD rate model of the 4541 for ambulatory and the 7785 for wheelchair, is that if the board would approve those rates for our service as we are signing into our memorandum of agreement, and for the trip and equipment grant, if we could get approval on processing the submittal of that, that will actually go, the trip and equipment grant will go to our Board of County Commissioners as a consent agenda item for resolution. We'd have to submit that to the commissioners. Chair would sign up on that. From there, it would go to the state to execute our trip and equipment grant. So we're asking for the board's approval on those two items.
Any questions? No questions. Open up to public.
No comment.
All right. All right, I will entertain motions.
Motion to approve Victoria Update Road.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Brett Kachuk, second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item B, approval of the Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan Annual Updates. Sarah.
Morning again, everyone. Sarah Goolsby with Bench. So this, MCAT just completed the annual update for their Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan. This is the last annual update for the current TDSP for the 2022 through 2026 period. With the redesignation to be approved by the CTD soon, MCAT will be developing a new TDSP for the 2027 through 2031 period. So we will be coming back to the LCB meeting in September to update you all on the progress we've made on the TDSP, present some preliminary outreach, public outreach results, and to discuss mobility needs for the TD community. And then we will be back at the November LCB meeting to bring the final draft TDSP to you all to approve. So because we will be developing the new TDSP this year, there were some very minor updates to this annual update that we're talking about today. There was a summary sheet included in the agenda packet, but essentially we just made some minor updates to the MCAT services, which included the ADA paratransit hours were updated on Anna Maria Island to correspond with the trolley service times. We also updated the Handy Bus annual ridership statistics with the 2025 trips. Under the travel instruction, marketing, and outreach section, we included the addition of the mobility coordinator that MCAT hired in August of 2025. And they were hired to assist with marketing and outreach and travel training. We did review the goals and objectives and strategies section, but we did not make any major updates to that. And then with the final annual update that we will be sending to the CTD, we will also include the new updated rates that Benita just presented on as well. And those were all the edits we made, but if anyone has any questions about the annual update or the upcoming 5-year plan, just let me know.
Anyone have any questions? Seeing no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026 Transportation Disadvantaged Service Plan.
Frank Catchak, motion.
Victoria Alvarez, second.
Okay. Just go around this side here, please. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. That is approved unanimously. Moving on to item C, approval of the 2026 Memorandum of Agreement for the Community Transportation Coordinator designation.
Good morning, my name is Liudel Vienes, I'm mobility coordinator for MCAT. Yep. Okay, so in this presentation, we're going to be discussing safe and accessible transportation, cost-effective operations, coordinated services, and regulatory compliance. Transportation service planning. We are to develop and maintain a TD service plan, submit the TDSP for local coordinating board approval, coordinate transportation services within the designated service area, and utilize federal and local funding sources appropriately. Part of the responsibilities are to submit annual operating reports, provide demographic, operational, and financial data, invoice services according to the approved rate models, retain records for a minimum of 5 years, and comply with all audit and record keeping requirements. So insurance requirements, we have a minimum required coverage of 200,000 per person and 300,000 per occurrence. In addition, we have the civil rights compliance. We are to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, ensure non-discrimination practices, protect against discrimination based on sex, race, age, religion, sexual orientation, and national origin. Also provide federal grant assurances as required. For these next couple of slides, I'm going to hand it over to Stormy.
Thank you. Part of that are driver requirements. Drivers must properly identify themselves in their company, wear appropriate uniforms, clothing, assist passengers safely, secure their wheelchairs, and their mobility devices, ensure safe boarding and exiting procedures, and the required certifications are first aid, CPR with bloodborne pathogens, and of course, a CDL driver's license. Thank you. Vehicle requirements, they must be safe and in good working condition, be clean and properly maintained. They must include radio communication, wheelchair securement systems, working air conditioning and heating, meet seating and wheelchair capacity requirements, display complaint and grievance contact numbers. And our commitment to service excellence, we commit to safe transportation, reliable operations, regulatory compliance, passenger accessibility, accountability and transparency, and continuous service improvement. And our recommendation, Manatee County government respectfully requests approval to maintain its position as a community transportation coordinator for transportation disadvantages services within Manatee County. The county remains committed to providing safe, reliable, cost-effective, and compliant transportation services in accordance with all applicable federal, state, local requirements outlined within this memorandum of agreement. We respectfully request authorization to recommend MCAT as the CTC and obtain the chair's signature to proceed with the execution process of the memorandum of agreement. That's all I have.
All right, are there any questions? Seeing none? I don't make one for approval.
Absolutely. Motion for approval, Brett Gutschak.
I'll make a second.
Hey, look at that. Thank you, Brent. All right, we have a motion for approval of the 2026 memorandum of agreement for the CTC designation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That is also approved unanimously. Moving on to our final action item. Approval of the Transportation Disadvantaged Trip and Equipment Grant application.
That's what I did. I did both actually.
You did both.
Yeah.
Did we, but do we have to vote on both of them separately? So we still need to vote. Does everyone remember the previous presentation? Okay. Are there any questions on the previous presentation that maybe popped in your head since then? No. Okay, I will accept motions for approval of the Transportation Disadvantaged Trip and Equipment Grant application.
I'll make that motion for Brian.
All right,
Kristen Gallagher will second.
there we go. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Also approved unanimously, and that is the end of our action items. We're now moving on to our presentations. The first one being the Community Transportation Coordinator Report. That is AJ, thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Asia Lachima. I am the transit planner at Manatee County Area Transit. A lot of new faces, so looking forward to working with you all in the future. The only thing I'm presenting, I think, is go back one more. Okay. So we're having some service changes coming up this weekend and it's going into effect on Saturday the 6th. Some of the changes that we're making is the Route 3 is to State Route 64 Manatee Avenue East. Route 3 will leave at Walmart on State Route 64, 23 minutes after the hour and also 53 minutes after the hour. Transfers will be down to the beach. Any transferring beach trips will happen at the downtown station. Also on Route 4, which is 9th Avenue East and West, on weekdays, Saturdays, Route 4 will frequently change every 60 minutes to every 65 minutes. Route 9, which is our 9th Avenue and 26th Street West route, trips will depart at SCF at 45 minutes after the hour. First, Route 12, which is State Route 70. The last trips have been adjusted for weekday and Saturdays as follows: eastbound 6:20 p.m., 6:35 p.m., 7:15 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. Westbound will be 6:45 p.m. as well as 7:01 p.m. And then last but not least, the Route 201 departure time from Walmart is now 28 minutes after the hour. That's all the changes I have. Any questions?
Any questions on the report? All right. Thanks for
Thank you.
information only, so there is no vote. Thank you very much, AJ. Moving on to the second presentation, the the DOT report. Did you have more?
Oh, no, there's more for this.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, it's only listed in AJ on it.
Yeah. Okay. There's a-
Okay. On to our quarterly report. So our Manatee Moves Veterans on Demand. Our quarterly total for January through March, we did a total of 867 trips. Our 88 trips, we went up. We're at 13,666 trips. We've had 20 assessments for the quarter. And our TV trips for the quarter were 7,509, which we went up compared to last year at this time. Our APD trips, which our quarterly total were 3,451. And TV trips were 3,490. And the rest of it are the TD escorts, our feeder shuttle. And that was a total of 562 trips. And then these are our trips by purpose for the quarter. We had a total of 3,462 medical, 3,417 dialysis, 3,832 work, 689 schools lighthouse, 2,146 casual trips, 1,839 food nutrition, 984 life sustaining. And our agencies were a total of 4,238. With 67 escorts, 20 assessments, 467 PCAs, 2 hospital trips, and 35 feeder shuttles. For the quarter, we had a total of 11 miscellaneous complaints and 1 vehicle complaint for a total of 12 complaints. We had 7 accommodations from customers. And we had 1 trip denial, which was for medical. For the quarter, we had a total of 138 no-shows, which kind of went up a couple from last year. 294 cancel at the door, a little higher than last year. And 343 late cancels, which is up from last year as well. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna go by this. So basically. So back to our on-time performance. For the quarter, we are up from last year for a total of 9, or no, we're down, I'm sorry. I thought it said 98. We're down 1% to 96%. We had 96 in January, February, and then 95% in March. And these at the bottom are showing like scheduled, pre-scheduled like appointments and correct. Which that puts our total at 85.02% for the appointments.
And so basically, how that works. What happened was we had our triangle review, our FDOT triangle review, and one of the discussions on the on-time performance was we were basically giving our report of just our 95 percentile, not our entire system total. So if you see where it says scheduled system appointments, those were in the 96 percentile, where people actually booked appointments. We actually made those appointments on time. System total things like if they were doing shopping or what have you, those aren't specifically appointment related on-time performance. So your on-time performance is in the 85 percentile. So those aren't trips that where you have to be there under, those are like casuals, things like that. So just to give you, so you can actually see the bottom data where it shows you the schedule and that percentage of the schedule, and then the appointment where it shows you the, and then the overall, it gave that 85.2. Yes. So we had to show the actual system total of both the appointment and system total amount. So we actually added that to the report.
Yeah, we used to just
see that.
Yeah, report appointments.
All right,
Any questions?
Yes, Brett.
Oh, sorry, I was just like.
Oh.
My question goes from the previous slide on the late.
Yeah.
About a year ago, we were really talking about putting more teeth into the policy. And obviously that doesn't look like it's been working.
No.
So is there any adjustments that you think we could maybe look on? Because that was one of the things that when people aren't showing up or the late no-shows, it puts everything behind that. So it's I think it was like 3 no-shows and they're suspended. So has that been working? Have you been utilizing that?
So we have adopted that new policy where it was, if they had 5 or more in a month, they got a letter. Now it is down to 3 or more a month. They receive a letter. After 3 months of receiving a letter or a warning, then they would receive a suspension. As you can tell by the numbers, it is not helping much at all. Not discussed in today's meeting, which we're going to present in an upcoming meeting. Some changes we're looking at is possibly limiting the number of days in advance that our clients can schedule. So right now they can schedule 14 days out. And I don't know about you, but some of our elderly clients don't remember what they have scheduled, 14 days in advance. So we're thinking of a shorter time window, probably somewhere between 3 to 5 days in advance, which is comparable to transit systems across the nation. So we actually have one of the largest windows right now. So we're going to kind of mirror our other transit agencies and go down to like a 3 or 5 day in advance, and we'll hope to see these numbers decrease drastically.
So is it one like if they have 5 in January, 5 in February, good in March, that resets the clock?
It resets after 6 months. So
Okay,
they're,
that's-
well, it's down to 3 now. So if they receive a letter in January, a letter in February, and let's say March, April are fine, they do it again in May, that's your third. They would have to go 6 months without receiving a letter to restart.
Do you have to give them 3 warnings or like you get a finger wag, a don't do it, or like is there?
We don't, we can adjust the policy as needed. So it is something that we can discuss and reconsider.
I think changing the bookings on out will help
Yeah.
dramatically with the no-shows and the cancels.
We also take into consideration, where we have a lot of people that attend dialysis centers, so they may fall ill and, go to the hospital. That's something that's out of their control. So while it's reported here as maybe a no-show, we don't hold that against them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think the number is you're looking for 0, but.
Right.
That, you obviously want to use discretion, but with the numbers creeping up, with previously going that we need to strengthen it and maybe it needs to be tightened more. Or as you say, maybe see how the policy changes. We'd just be, because the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over again, it's like, we want the numbers to go down and it's not working.
Right, absolutely.
Try to readjust.
Yeah, that's something that we can consider, and hopefully we'll have some things to report back to you in our next meeting, September.
Do you call them ahead of time saying, remember you have an appointment tomorrow with us?
Yeah, we have an automatic.
So they do get a reminder saying
Yeah.
we're gonna be there tomorrow, and then they phone.
They get a trip reminder. They also get updates too.
And there's still that many no-shows. Sorry, I know we have some, but
Yeah.
our numbers are certainly not like yours.
And the thing is too, if, like I said, the example of like our dialysis client, if they end up in the hospital, they're not calling us, and sometimes their caregivers forget to call us, or they don't have a caregiver.
Part of it, the care.
Yeah. So when we recognize that pattern, we try to reach out and see, and then we'll say, hey, look, we're gonna go ahead and cancel you for X number of days, call us when you're ready, and then we can put you back on.
Have you seen anything out of the norm? Because obviously the dialysis part of it is not something new. The 14-day isn't something new either.
Right.
What have you figured out, or at least have an idea of why it seems that the riders not taking their rights seem to be creeping
As
up?
far as any patterns like behavioral changes, I haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary. It's just,
Coincidence?
I guess, a coincidence, or just, life happens. We don't pry into details of people say, hey, we're canceled. We'll say, oh, what's the reason? We try to get a little bit, but if they don't want to give it to us, we can't pry them for it. But it's something to look into. We can, I guess, one of my customer service agents does have a better detailed report of some notes, so I can take a look at that and see if we can see a pattern or practice.
And is that something that's happened this last quarter, or has it been for the last X amount of time that
I think
increasing?
before things were down.
I believe so, so I think it
I
was this
think
past
before we were
quarter.
down. So it's just this past quarter, I don't know.
So I think, I mean, as we can see here, March was significantly higher than January and February. January, February held around like 100 for late cancellations, and that's when people call with less than a 2-hour notice. Cancellations at door. January was relatively high at 129, and then you saw a steady decrease between February and March.
I think January's because we had quite a cold days as well.
That too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the weather.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going down.
And then the no-shows, so the no-shows, they're relatively less than the other two types of cancellations. And those are the ones we typically see for our dialysis clients, or not even just them, but if people end up in the hospital, that's usually where we see a no-show. Like we come there, they're not there, and then we find out,
Or
So I think that with limiting the number of days in advance they can schedule, considering less warnings, we can get this number to decrease. Any more questions on this?
This was a late appointment ones. Do you have a window, like when they complained that you were late? What is your window for pickup? 30 minutes?
30 minutes, so
15 before?
yeah, correct. So we'll move on to our new registers report. So overall for the quarter, we had 188 people registered into our system. Out of that 188, 111 were either new clients or PCAs, personal care attendants, or escorts. We had 2 people register for our Port Manatee shuttle, and then out of that, we sent 75 recertification notifications for existing clients. And then out of that 111, we break it down for you a little bit more. So you can see it was 91, you add the registered with and without book trips, 91 people who applied for our services and were entered into our system. And then 20 were either escorts, personal care attendants, companions, things like that. So 61 people for the quarter had registered for our system and didn't use a trip or didn't book a trip within that month that they were approved and registered in our system. And that's for various reasons. They either registered at the end of the month, so they haven't had time to take a trip. We got a lot of people who use this as secondary, or hey, I have something coming up, I can't drive for this. They don't need it all the time. And then we have clients who have denied our services or refused assessments. We have people who have Medicaid, so they have to use Medicaid's transportation for medical appointments. And maybe that's the only reason they need service, so they haven't used us for that. And then also we have, our different zones in our ADA zone or outside, so parish, Lakewood Ranch, things like that. They have different limitations under the TD program, so they may not be able to use the system for what they're looking for. And then after doing follow-up calls, 18 out of that 61 have taken trips in months following the month that they were registered. And that is all that I have for you.
Okay, that's it for me. I don't have a slide. I just have one thing for today. A couple weeks ago, I don't remember the exact date. I wasn't able to get into my email this morning. We're headed this way. But I want to say it was around 2 weeks ago, we had service development grant applications were due for any agencies that wanted to submit those. Within this area, we received one on behalf of Impact with the city of Bradenton, like umbrellaed under them, for a service development grant that we're in the middle of reviewing now. Well, I say in the middle of reviewing, we've opened the PowerPoint and haven't got very far into it yet. That's in the upcoming week. And then, so maybe probably the next meeting, I'll have an answer on if they were granted or not, how that went. And then as David mentioned in his report, there's the PDW conference next week. I would say if you want to come register, but it's already closed. So if you'll be there, me and all of my team, FDOT will be there and see you guys. If not next year. About all I have for today.
I would add to that, to Victoria's comment, the closure of the ISD grant, I believe, was May 18th. So let's say
Yeah.
mid-May, and the responses back are due mid-June. I believe.
We have to have our, mid-June, we have to have our
June 11th.
recommendations.
The deadline for that. So
It's
let's
either mid-June or end of June. Honestly, we all thought it was June 30th. There was a couple of questions we asked in the, that we don't normally ask, the central office had us send when we sent out the grant applications, and a couple of the applicants didn't even answer that question. So once we realized that we answered that question, we didn't review the applications any further. And they had until this Friday to answer those questions, and then we were gonna go back in after the DW. Figure it out. I think we only had 4 total for the whole. One, but only one.
Any other questions? For your report? Nope. All right, we'll go to staff report. David?
Not too much on the TD side of things, like I mentioned earlier in the workshop. On June 11th, we'll be presenting the MCAS redesignation. Should be a pretty straightforward process. In addition to that, at least on the MPO's operational side, hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have the AV system installed and working. We've been working with that for the last couple of months. Last month, we had a general contractor come in and start all the walls up and start doing all the drop down for the TVs and stuff like that. Basically where you see the drop downs to where we're gonna have TVs. There's one right in the middle of where the presentation is. It's just covered by a piece of paper right now.
Paper on the wall.
Yeah, in addition to that, obviously the process of closing down our current UPWP and starting our new UPWP. So for all of you that don't know, the UPWP is the MPO's 2-year budget, which is tied to our funding agreement. So that should all be starting back up here July 1st. That's pretty much, a high level of what we have. If you have any questions for us, I'll be glad to answer that or respond to them once I get the answer.
Any questions? Seeing none, that was our last presentation. So about by going around the table. No comment?
Thank you, everyone, for approving us.
Nothing from you.
That's for me.
Nothing from.
That was for me.
I'll add 2 words, I guess. Just I'll speak again, I guess. It's been a pleasure working with MCAT for the last couple of years. And I look forward to continue to work here in the future. So it's nice seeing a transit agency implement new levels of service to provide those that can be considered disadvantaged, and seeing what new systems are brought on in the future.
Updates.
I'd just like to mention that we've opened 2 new friendship dining centers, which are for seniors 60 and over, and currently we are providing transportation to one of those locations. So as the need possibly comes about, we would be able to, one place is open with 15 people on the first day. So that's in West Bradenton. So we've expanded now from Iacca to Parish, West Bradenton, Meals on Wheels Plus. We have it 2-3 days a week. So trying to get seniors out more.
Yes.
Up on the part on there. All right. Then with that, our next meeting, as was said multiple times, is September 9th at 10 a.m. here, right? All of our meetings are here now on.
I went to the other location, sorry.
I almost did. I almost did.
Last meeting, so I pulled in and I went.
Well, regular MPO still at.
It does say the sign still in the window there, by the way. That building, like, look, it's a flying school, if anybody wants to take lessons.
The Doubletree last week.
Yeah.
When you go to the office, does it still say, have a sign that
It
says?
still does.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I made that, I don't know if they're.
Yeah, I know, I didn't notice that, but it does have a sticker still on the window that says MPO. Yeah,
Got it.
and then flying school.
So it is here.
Yeah,
Not go to the wrong.
well, I'm on now.
Separate, yep.
I got here pretty good though, I'll tell you. 3
Okay,
minutes after.
and if there's nothing further, nobody in the public here to give a comment, then we are adjourned.
All right, so what are you?